Welcome to AP Lang. Today your objective is to write a 1 to 2 page speech or letter in which you're going to use rhetorical strategies in order to advocate for a cause that you believe in. And so at the beginning of the school year, we as in 11th grade made commitments. One of those commitments we made was to use our voices to become advocates in our community. On one level, advocates stand for their beliefs and represent their families and communities with pride, courage, and ability. Advocates also use their voice to advocate for those who are marginalized or face injustices. Throughout our unit on rhetorical analysis, we saw examples of great advocates in Martin Luther King, Judith Ortiz-Cofer, Audre Lorde, Childish Gambino, Robert Kennedy, and Barack Obama. Each of them used rhetorical strategies in order to advocate for themselves or for others. Each of these advocates found themselves in unique rhetorical situations, but what they all had in common is that they used rhetorical strategies to advocate for a cause that was important to them. And so after seeing examples of how people have used rhetorical strategies to advocate for specific issues throughout history, today you're now going to apply those strategies to your own writing in order to use your voice to advocate for a cause that's important to you. So here's your objective today. Your objective is to write a 1 to 2 page speech or letter in which you use rhetorical strategies in order to advocate. Now, you might choose to advocate by challenging a specific systematic injustice or an inequity of opportunity, or perhaps you'll choose to advocate by increasing pride in cultural identity. Your work today is going to be an assessment grade, and so I really want you to dive in and do your best with it. You'll see that this lesson has a 4-step agenda. You're going to start today by brainstorming ideas, then you're going to take a step back and identify your rhetorical situation. Step 3 is you're going to plan out the rhetorical strategies that you can make in your speech. And then finally, the final step will be to spend 45 minutes where you actually draft your speech or letter. Throughout this lesson, I'm going to introduce one of these steps to you, and then I'm going to ask you to pause at each step so you can take your time to actually accomplish the task. And so we're going to start with step 1. So step 1 is to brainstorm, and this should take you about 3 to 5 minutes. During this time, I want you to create a list of issues or problems or initiatives that you care about. Once you've considered a few possible options, then you're going to choose one to advocate in your speech or letter. When thinking about the types of issues or problems you want to write about, you might think about issues that have to do with systematic injustice or inequity of opportunity. And so perhaps you're interested in talking about race or racism, perhaps you're interested in talking about gender inequality, perhaps you're interested in LGBTQ rights, perhaps it's something specific in our school, an injustice you see in our school. But think about maybe some systematic injustices or inequity of opportunities that you might want to address. On the other hand, you might want to write a letter in which you speak to increase pride in culture or in identity. So this could be about your own cultural identity, your own just identity as a person. So right now, I'm going to ask you to pause this video and take 3 to 5 minutes to brainstorm a list of issues, problems, or initiatives that you care about. All right, now that you've brainstormed issues, it's time for you to determine your specific rhetorical situation today. And so this is going to start with you determining your exigence. And so when we're talking about exigence, we're talking about the specific issue, problem, or event that's motivating you to write today. And so for those issues that you brainstormed during step 1, now is the time for you to choose one specific issue that you're going to write about. Next, you want to identify who you are as the speaker. And so when we're talking about who are you, we want to know what is your background and what is your connection to this topic that you're writing about today. Next, the audience. Now, it's very important as you're writing to not just write to everyone in general, but to really choose a specific audience. And so are you talking to your family? Are you talking to the school community? Are you talking to a specific group of people within society? And so you really want to choose a specific audience today. You also want to reflect on what you know about their beliefs or values. So be as specific as you can when talking about audience. The last part of the rhetorical situation you need to identify today is your message and purpose. And so, what ideas are you going to try to convey through your speech? And then, what do you hope your audience will do or believe as a result of reading your speech or letter? Go ahead and pause the video now and take 8 to 12 minutes to determine your specific rhetorical situation. Your third step today is strategic planning. You should spend about 10 minutes. And while you plan, I want you to plan potential appeals to your own credibility. So, for instance, why should your audience listen to you? Or how can you connect to your audience's values? You should also plan out potential appeals to your audience's emotions. And so, how do you want your audience to feel about this topic? How can you make them feel that way? And this might be an interesting place for you to consider the tone you're trying to give your piece. The third thing you should plan is how you could potentially appeal to your message's reason and logic. How can you appeal to your audience's intellect here? And so what types of claims and evidence could you use? How could you put these claims and evidence together to create a logical line of reasoning? And as you consider these three types of appeals, you want to close with thinking of some specific rhetorical devices, strategies, or patterns you might include. And so we've seen a lot of different strategies that good advocates use. And so you might want to consider the specific type of diction you want to use, your syntax, so how you're arranging your sentences, patterns, what kind of pattern do you want to have in your text? Do you want to reference anything? Do you want to use repetition, juxtaposition, anecdotes, or allusion? So these are all really great strategies that we've seen advocates use throughout this unit. So you want to choose a couple of them to include today. Go ahead now, pause your screen, and take 10 minutes to plan out your rhetorical strategies. Now that you've brainstormed your ideas, you've determined your rhetorical situation, and you've planned your use of rhetorical strategies, it's time for you to actually advocate for your cause. And so during this time, you're going to draft your speech or letter. Your grade in this is going to be based on how well you respond to your specific rhetorical situation, and then use rhetorical strategies to make effective appeals to credibility, emotions, and logic. I want you to remember, this is not a traditional essay, so you don't need to follow a specific set structure like intro, body, paragraphs, and conclusion. You can really structure this the way you want. And then lastly, remember, keep your specific audience in mind today. You are not writing to a general audience. You are writing to a really specific group of people that you're trying to persuade, so keep them in mind. All right, y'all, good luck. When you're done, make sure that you complete the exit slip and turn in your speech or letter. I'm really looking forward to reading what you got.